All right, after better than 50 deaths reported among Palestinians yesterday with the official naming of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and our new U.S. embassy, the White House is saying those deaths are really on Hamas and not the Israelis. To New York Republican Congressman Zeldin, he was at that ceremony. Congressman, good to have you.
Good to be with you, Neil.
All right, the criticism, as you know, Congressman, is that the Israeli, soldiers responded, with guns to guys who were throwing rocks, that it wasn't fair, it wasn't right. There had to be a better way to mitigate this. You say what?
Well, the Israeli soldiers were defending their border. This wasn't just a few dozen or a few hundred. This was, literally several tens of thousands of people attempting to cross the Israeli border. Now, on the other side of the border in Israel, from Gaza, you have men, women, children who are living in Israeli villages who face a risk of instantly having to face it up close and personal if the Israeli soldiers are not successful in defending their border. They're really left with absolutely no choice in a situation like that but to take action and prevent several tens of thousands of people from flooding into their country, which included a whole bunch of people who identify themselves with Hamas, with Islamic Jihad, and they have a pledge that they have taken to wipe Israel off the map. They want to do bad things to the nation of Israel. They don't respect rule of law, boundaries. There are no good intentions, and that's why there really is no other choice for Israel.
Sir, if I can switch gears to the president meeting on the other side of where you are right now with Senate Republicans. He chose not with House Republicans. We're getting the idea being that he likes what you guys have been doing in the House, wants to know why it invariably gets stymied, stalled, stopped in the Senate. Now, a lot of it could have to do with the filibuster rule that you need 60 votes to get big pieces of legislation done. He wants that, torn apart right now. I don't know what progress he will make. But are you frustrated with the Senate?
I am. There are hundreds of bills that have passed the House that haven't yet passed the Senate. And the Senate they've had these rules for a very long time. You're mentioning one with the filibuster rule. Just confirming appointments for judgeships or ambassadorships can take up a ton of floor time, let alone the amount of time that it gets taken for a legislation to get through the floor. And that's just with the amount of floor time. Now, to
and
actually
by the way,
have
we should say it's the Senate's responsibility to deal with those judgeships and appointments, not the House. So Mitch McConnell had argued we have some bigger burdens than our House counterparts. What do you say?
And that is a really important burden that they have. I want them to be hugely successful. But for example, like what you saw with Rick Grinnell, who just got confirmed for Germany, and some of these other ambassadorships where they get held up and it requires 30 hours of floor debate to get someone through almost unanimously. It's done deliberately. It's the filibusters being abused by the Senate minority as leverage in order to suck up floor time so that they can't pass any of the hundreds of other bills that really are good, many of them bipartisan bills that would help move our country forward. They don't want the president to have any wins. Now, I believe that if you were to make a change to the filibuster rule, one great way to do it is for a House-passed appropriations bill to be brought up privileged in the Senate so it could pass with only 51 votes. What we have right now, and we've had it for several years, the Senate can't pass all the appropriations bills in time before the end of the fiscal year. There is no shot of regular order. There is no way that the Senate is going to be able to pass where the House last year passed all 12 appropriations bills. The Senate just can't do it because of the way the whole process is being abused. Now, if the House passes an appropriations bill and the Senate can bring that bill up for a 51 vote in the Senate, well, now you have a mechanism to actually pass appropriations before the end of the fiscal year.
But don't hold your breath, It would be nice, but don't hold your breath on either side, just to simplify this incredible logjam. All right, Congressman, very good seeing you again.